Alright guys, Fuller coming to you with another video. I hope everything is well with you guys, and I hope you guys are living your best life possible under the circumstances we have, like these crazy old politics and these politicians who really are not in it to do anything good for us. When it's all said and done, like, they can care less about us. They only have, there's always a personal vendetta involved. There's always personal gang involved. It's never to, how should I say? It's never to, empower the people. There are very few politicians in history who have actually brought power to the people. But that's neither here nor there. This is not what I want to talk about today. So I believe today is Columbus Day, I guess. Yeah, Christopher Columbus Day. And, in school, especially in my school, when I was coming up, we were always taught that, the Portuguese were fantastic mariners. We were always taught that, the Spaniards were fantastic navigators and things like that. And all of the above, granted, look at where I was at. I was in Portugal, you know what I mean? So, of course, you're going to hear that. To take it a step further, when you get here, you hear it even more. You hear it in the elementary system, and you hear it in middle school. And you hear all these things, and the one thing that you hear is that, these people came with cakes and tea and, just brought civilization and things like that. And, this thing, it took me a while to not buy into it, but I always kind of had the impression, like, okay, something's not right here. There was always that impression for me, that there was some misinformation. And I'm going to tell you something. And this is popular truth. And this is not, in essence, to try to convince people. Yeah, let me make a public service announcement first and foremost. Okay? My intention of this video is not to convert you to Islam. My intention of this video is not to bring out the assumption that Muslims are superior. My intention of this video is not even to bring out a superiority complex when it comes to just black West Africans, okay? That's not my intention. My intention is just to share information in which was passed down to me, in which I in turn researched even more to kind of clarify what was already expected. First, and this, another reason for this video too is, like, I think honestly we should push in these curriculums the truth of the matter, and not this kind of like this false narrative. Because I'm gonna tell you something, man. When you push these false narratives and you don't tell, like, a minority their greatness and things like that. Like, for example, like, if you in most of the curriculums, they label Aztecs as savages, as uncultivated people and things like that, and they were anything but that. Okay, so when you put one certain group on a pedestal over and over and over and over and over again, years on end, what does that create? It conditions the mind to be like, dang, I wish I was them. Dang, I wish I had that. Dang, I wish I was, I wish I was European. It really will condition the brain to feel that way, because you're just repeating over and over again this narrative that you know, Europe, if it wasn't for Europe, civilization wouldn't exist and things like that. But what I wanted to say is, for some people, for quite a few people actually, quite a few people are familiar with the emperor. As a matter of fact, they say that he's the world's richest man. You know, if we measure his wealth today, he would be considered the world's richest man. Everybody is familiar with Mansa Kanka Musa. And they're familiar with all the gold he had. They're familiar with his pilgrimage. They're familiar with the fact that he went to pilgrimage, and that pilgrimage actually crashed the Egyptian gold economy because he had so much gold in on that pilgrimage. Now, a lot of people don't know. This is one thing that many people don't know. On that pilgrimage, someone asked Mansa Kanka Musa, hey, you know, you're royal and things like that. You're basically bling bling, you know. How did you get to that position? And Mansa Musa said, I come from a lineage of kings. My brother, Abu Bakr II, put me in this position. Now, his brother was kind of restless with kingship. You know, he was like, well, you know, sitting here, lots of gold, you know, kind of bored, nothing really going on. Trade is booming, this, that, and the other. He got bored. So what his brother did is, the first thing he did was he got his best engineers and he said, you know what? We're going to make some ships. And we're going to see what's on the other side of this Atlantic. So what he told 200 able-bodied men is, listen, don't come back until you find land. Okay? Mind you, this is 200 years before Columbus. Okay? So he told them, you know, I'm gonna give you rations of food and y'all just set that voyage out, okay? But I don't want y'all coming back until you guys report land, right? And so they did that. But guess what? They never came back, right? So he put it upon himself to take even a bigger voyage himself. And he said, listen, Mansa, I'm leaving. And the throne is yours. But I gotta go. You know, my guys didn't come back. So he took even a bigger voyage. He took 1,000. He took 1,000 boats. He not only took food, he took animals, and he also took gold too. Right? He never came back. And again, I have to remind you, this is 200 years before Columbus. So you see the ingenuity and you see the level that Africans had at that time to navigate, right? And they got that from Timbuktu, you know? And I think in return, Timbuktu got that from Andalus, because you had a vibrant trade network, and the trade would, you know, with Al-Andalus, which is in Spain, and this is when the Moors were in Spain. So I'm pretty sure that, you know, in trading, they probably got some navigation things, you know, to navigate. So Abu Bakr never came back. And since Abu Bakr never came back, Mansa just did what he did. But let's look at the diaries of some of the explorers. Okay, Christopher Columbus himself, in his own diary, said that in places like Cuba, places like Honduras, he saw a jet black people, and they had big loop earrings on the women, and they had cloth that was similar to the cloth in West Africa, the cloth in Moorish Spain. And he also said there was places of worship for Muslims in these areas. So when we look at this, one thing I think of is Fulani, because if you know Fulani women, there's certain Fulani women who wear big gold earrings. Now, mind you, Mansa Kankan Musa and his brother Abu Bakr, they were Malinke, or what we call Manding. That's another word of saying it. Here they call it Mandingo, but we don't say it. We don't say Mandingo in Africa. We either say Mande or Manding, Malinke, or that's pretty much what we say, you know. So they came from the Mande. But, you know, you never know. There were probably some Fulas, some Susus, even some Wolof who were aboard those ships. You know, some Hausas. We don't know. But the fact of the matter is that Christopher Columbus did not discover America. How can you discover a place where there's already people? That makes no sense. As a matter of fact, he was looking for India. That's why he called the Native Americans Indians, because he thought he was in India. He didn't even know where he was. But here's one thing that happened, though, unfortunately. And this is just my hypothesis. It doesn't mean it's true. But I'm of the opinion that there was already gold in this part of the world. But I'm thinking that the gold accelerated because of the simple fact that Africans brought more gold over, you know. So this is why I'm thinking, like, well, that probably added more gold to the whole thing, you know what I mean? So with that being said, you know, this needs to be taught. This needs to be in curriculum. Okay? And the real image of Columbus needs to be in curriculum too. Okay? Columbus was not a hero. Columbus was a murderer. In fact, Columbus, how should I put it? He kind of was the fire starter for genocide of indigenous people. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, unfortunately some African people had to suffer too. And I'm talking about the African people who are already here, not the ones that were brought over. But I mean, that kind of facilitated them being brought over to them. It's the fact that he talked about all these places. He talked about Cuba. He talked about Honduras. He talked about Central America. He talked about Mexico. He talked about like the lush greenery. and the gold and everything like that. And then, Bernadette and Isabella, I think, facilitated another mission. And this time, this mission was to rape, pillage, steal, and destroy. And unfortunately, they succeeded at doing that. And we are still suffering from it as minorities, But I just like to look into this because, it's not about, it's not about beating your chest. It's about getting the truth of the matter, okay? For example, talk to this woman from Barbados, okay? I think her dad is like I want to say he's like a archaeologist or something like that. So she showed me some writings, right, from Barbados Islands. And at first I'm thinking, like, she said, oh, these are Amharic writings. And I said, nah, those aren't Amharic, those are Arabic writings. Because I read Arabic, and for the most part, I speak and understand it. You know what I mean? But that's why I said, these are Arabic writings. It's not Amharic. And for those of you guys that don't know, Amharic is the writing language or it's a language that's spoken widely in East Africa, like in Ethiopia or Eritrea and what have you, right? So, but they come from that group. All of them come from the group. Aramaic, Arabic, Amharic, all of those languages come from the same group. But I told her, no, these are Arabic writings. And what those writings were just talking about the journey over from Africa. It was actually mentioning the journey that took place from Africa to Barbados. So, never would I give Christopher Columbus credit for anything except for causing chaos. One thing I will say and give him credit for, though, because God does everything for a reason, and sometimes those reasons are harsh realities, but there's still a reason behind it. But it's cool that, that I guess you can say things are twofold in the sense that you have Africans of Latin descent, and it's cool because it adds diversity to Latin America. Because I'm gonna be real, bro, like the Latin culture, and I don't want to say this without insulting anybody, but I don't think the African element in the Latin American culture really makes it like kind of lively and kind of, how should I put it? It makes it appealing, right? I think it just took early roots, like very, very early, 200 years before Columbus. It's my personal opinion, and I'm just going off of the research I did about it. So if anything, this shouldn't be known as Columbus Day. This should be known as, the day that Columbus was discovered day, or something like that. I don't know, man. But anyhow, man, y'all leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this, man. Let me know what you even think about Columbus Day. in general. Colombus signing out. Jaram. One thing I also want to add to this is that, there's a group in Central America. It's a group of people in Central America. Many people have probably already heard of them. There's a group. You find them in Honduras. You find them in Belize. You find them in Guatemala. I think you can find them in El Salvador. I believe you can find them in Nicaragua as well. There's a group of people called the Garifuna, and the Garifuna speak African dialect. I know a couple of Garifuna people, and they speak a African dialect, but mind you, they also speak Spanish. And another thing I noticed about a lot of Garifunas, the ones I know at least, I've met quite a bit, is that they don't eat pork. Okay, most of the time they don't really do pork. I talk to them all the time, like I ask them, "Te come jamón?" And they say no. I say, "Te come chicharrones?" No. They always tell me no. So what that tells me is that, I don't know, perhaps they could be descendants of those Mandinka that first arrived here. Before Columbus, who knows? But that's just some random noodles for y'all, man. Stay tuned for my merch. I'm waiting for my logo to get made, but the merch is coming soon, y'all, man. We're gonna do the merch, and I'm telling you, it's gonna be some nice stuff. The logo's gonna be on point, and y'all gonna like it, man. But anyhow, Fula signing out. Jada.